Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richeimer. We are in chapter 7. We are on page 155. Get your books out and let's go. But here's what you have to know. We are talking about appreciation, and you may never have had this concept in your brain before. You may not have thought about an empty appreciation bucket. But here's the good news. Once you start recognizing you have an appreciation bucket and that it's empty, okay, join the club, okay, we're all part of the empty bucket club, okay, you will start to feel an amazing ability to understand your own emotions, your own feelings, like what's going on with me, what's bothering me, and you'll realize it's that the appreciation bucket is empty, or half empty, or dust bunnies crawling around, okay. So here's what you need to know. We are going to teach you in the next couple of shows, we are going to teach you exactly how to fill your bucket. Stay tuned, ladies. You are about to be happier than you may have ever been before. This is what is that? Proof is in the pudding. Like, this is try this at home and you will see. Okay, we're still talking about the appreciation gap between what a woman needs and what she has. This is page 155, the appreciation gap. There's a prevailing feeling that we have to tell our husbands how to appreciate us, and even what to say. It's not worth very much. We want spontaneous praise right from his heart. Believe me, I feel the same way. But here's the massive problem with this way of thinking. It practically guarantees that we will mope around feeling thoroughly undervalued and completely like a doormat. We are already so consistently starved for appreciation that by the time a tiny trickle of his spontaneous praise issues from our husband's lips, we already are lying flat on the ground, having trouble breathing. Bring on the oxygen. It's always too little, too late. It's a classic tale of being so stuck in the mystique of surprise that we will suffer immeasurable personal anguish rather than accept a lesser gift. It's like a haughty matron surrounded by baskets of apples who expires from malnutrition, waiting for the one mouth-watering peach she has her heart set on. So she's surrounded by apples, she wants a peach, she passes out and dies. Okay, this is what we're doing with our appreciation. We only want the juiciest, best praise. If it's anything less, we don't want it. We're not going to eat the apple. Okay. So am I saying that we need to tell our husbands exactly what to say to show us appreciation? Sort of, read on. But for now, we can at least agree that the current system is an abysmal failure. Can we, at the very minimum, concede that there's an iceberg-sized gap between the appreciation a wife genuinely needs and what a man has the capacity to give? So what is the great secret of appreciation? That it must not be a secret. The more in the open it is, and the more we communicate about it, the higher the likelihood that our bucket will fill up and remain full. The more we are willing to recognize our own needs and then to make ourselves vulnerable by expressing them, the happier we will be. It's a process of learning how to milk praise from our husband like Rivka drawing water from the well. More praise will rise up as we draw it out. As we begin to carry this out, it will hopefully become clear that our husband wants to please us more than we ever realized. Yes, it might be buried beneath layers of frustration, anger, and resentment, but the spark of desire to make us happy is there. We just need to know how to fan it into a robust fire. Interestingly enough, as pathetic as we might feel eliciting praise, the stature a man feels when his wife shows how much she longs for his approval awakens in him a deep love for her. That we truly need him in this way empowers him to rise up to be his best self. Taking care of ourselves first in this area is kind of like being on an airplane and putting the oxygen mask on ourselves first so we don't pass out trying to put it on somebody else. If we start with the self-care of getting our own appreciation needs met, we can truly become superheroes at giving appreciation to our husband and others. Gaining motivation. Just remember that using charm to elicit praise from your husband starts with the motivation to do so. It can feel awkward at first, but here's how it often plays out for my students. They say to begin with that they hardly even believed me when I told them that they had an empty appreciation bucket. But usually what their intellect may not have grasped immediately, they can feel with their emotions within the first week, if they look for it. If they look for it, that's the important thing here, okay? Once this deep need is pointed out to them, they finally have the answer to some of the discontent they may have had in their lives. Suddenly, they are very motivated to get that bucket filled because they know that when it is, they will be happier. Plus, as soon as they stop feeling continually disappointed in their husbands for not filling their bucket, they will experience a new closeness in the marriage. But just as the new tools of an apprentice shoemaker feel strange in his hands, yet feel like part of the very limbs of the expert, so too it takes time to get used to the new strategies we will be using. But there's a deep secret that I will tell you right up front. The sooner you get over being upset at your husband for not taking responsibility for showering you with appreciation and take on the job of charming the appreciation you need out of him instead, the sooner and more effectively your bucket will be filled. Remember that every marriage is different and it takes significant trial and error to see what works in each marriage. And obviously, there's a learning curve just like anything else in life. We have a bottomless pit for appreciation, and our husbands desire to deliver that appreciation, but only by drawing it out of them in an endearing way. But once you have this in place and finally feel like your efforts for the myriad of roles that you play are fully acknowledged and appreciated, you will have the satisfaction you may have been craving for many years. Okay, Gila, what you got for me?
Wow, really powerful points. Okay, so Rivka asks, I feel like my husband does way more than me and deserves way more appreciation than me. We've been struggling with shalom bayis recently. Is it because I'm not hearing my husband's appreciation of me, even though I'm not doing much to be appreciated for? I'm so bogged down and exhausted because of work, and my husband's capacity to give is endless.
Wow, that's a flip. Okay, what's his secret? Send us the special recipe. What do you feed him for breakfast? Got it. Okay, so the emphasis is that the truth is that you have a unusual situation. You didn't much speak. Maybe Rivka, if you could type in now what your emotional state is. Like, are you a generally happy person? Are you, are you very moody? Are you, if you're saying your husband's capacity to give is endless, that's just remarkable and unusual. And anyone who's listening to this shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, I've got the opposite problem, because guess what? We all have the opposite problem. So I would say that you can look a little bit at what the dynamic is. If you know if you've been watching the show, you know that Rav Moshe Cordovero's all bracha comes from Shemayim through the husband and to the wife. The husband's just a mere conduit of giving to his wife. So if you are, not if you're not receiving from him, even he's giving and he's giving and he's giving, but you're not receiving it, or you're not appreciating it, or you're not macabbling, you're not, he says, I want to do this, and you keep changing your mind and not listening to him and, not following his will, or any of those types of things. If that is the case, maybe work on that. Start with that. I'm not sure that for you right now, working on your appreciation bucket because you're feeling like you don't do anything, he does everything, and you're just being the receiver. You're just feeling what he's giving to you, and you're not doing much to deserve his appreciation. I'm not sure I would start with that right now in where you're holding in your relationship with your husband. I would actually probably start by trying to receive everything that he gives to you with a lot of grace and a lot of appreciation from deep down inside, and show him and tell him. And, if he hands you a glass of water, one time say, thanks for the water. Another time say, drink and say, oh, this is so delicious. Get creative in your appreciation of him. And once that flow is going more smoothly, then I would work more on you're getting your appreciation. I don't think you're there yet in your relationship. For most other people, 99% of other women, I would say that the most important thing to work on for your own daily I don't know, satisfaction, but contentment, I would say, is getting that bucket filled first. And that starts by noticing that your bucket is empty or your bucket is not full or whatever. It's like once I have so many women tell me that, oh my gosh, once I realized it, I'm like, I can't believe it. How did I go through 12 years of marriage, 18 years of marriage, 40 years, all these years without getting the appreciation that I desperately need? And there's the glumness that comes in, it's kind of like, okay. So I think you're all in for a big treat. And for you, Rivka, I think that you're very crucial for you to just work on being a receiver right now. Okay. Wow. Good question. Okay. Go ahead, Gila.
Okay, great point. Tamara asks, what if I get enough appreciation, but I still feel like I do too much? Do most women feel this way?
Every woman feels that way. Okay. Not only because she probably does, because her husband's doing one thing, maybe he's going to work and he's coming home, and then he's going to learn and he's coming home. And the woman is like, oh, this one's a bath, and this one, I have to camp. This one I have to sign up for camp, whatever. Oh, in my business, I have a business meeting next week that's great. They're making me crazy, and I've got to get the report done. And, woman is like usually doing a million things. Now you do have a guy who's, a lot of men also manage, not a lot. I'm making big generalizations, but a woman is such a micromanager that she even, a man might do three huge things, but she does 47 little things, so her mind is scattered in all different places, and we're built for that. We can do that. And there's some women who are more like on the masculine side, there are more men that are on the feminine side, So I'm making generalizations just because that's helpful, not because I'm trying to box somebody into a particular pigeonhole people. But a woman always feels like she's doing more. So the question about whether she's getting the appreciation she needs for that remains to be. I'm not convinced that getting the appreciation she needs makes her feel like she can do less or feel like, she can, now I'm done, no, but it's kind of like you can have, if you are appreciated, you can stay up till 3 a.m. making 47 kugels for Shabbos, and it's a pleasure. It's like, okay, let's get this out. And then you're like, oh, that's delicious. And you're wonderful. And you have to solicit it. You have to say, how did you like the kugel? And last night I was up till 3 a.m. making 47 kugels. And if you don't ask for that and he doesn't say it, you're just like, I'm just a shmata. Whereas if you ask for it and he says, oh, wow, that's just crazy. That's wonderful. You didn't have to do so much, but I'm glad you did. If he gives you that kind of appreciation, that keeps you, it's like the gas in a car. If, on the other hand, there's no appreciation and you've done 4 loads of laundry and there's never, thank you that I go into my drawer and there's t-shirts there. Thank you. He probably would never say that. You'd have to say, did you notice how many t-shirts are in your drawer? And you're like, oh, thank you. Oh, wow, I'm so grateful, like that. And that has to be good enough. Okay. But if there's zero appreciation for you doing the laundry, you will sit there folding a pair of socks with such resentment and such anger and such upset and such feeling like a doormat and a shmata and whatever. It's dreadful. So you have to start waking up to, oh, my appreciation bucket is empty, or I need some appreciation right now. I've just been working too hard, too many frazzled things. Some women need more than others, and you have to know yourself. But I guarantee you that I've never met a woman who gets the amount of appreciation she desperately needs. There's always some kind of a gap, even if the husband was raised by a mom who continually was teaching him to do that. Guys, they're just deficient in this area. So I'm going to teach you many tricks and techniques to get the appreciation that you need. Stay tuned. Okay. But right now it's just getting that motivation to get the appreciation you need. Okay. Gila, what's next?
Great. Okay. So Rachie asks, if we could never have enough appreciation, why should we try to seek it out in the first place? It feels like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it, which is kind of what you were saying in the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, exactly. It is a hole with a bucket with a hole in it. But, basically here's your, Where's my bucket? I have a bucket around here somewhere. Anyway, okay. Oh, no bucket. Okay. Anyway, I know it's here somewhere, but okay, a bucket, and it does have a hole in the bottom of it, by the way. So what happens is you have a bucket, right? And let's say it's empty, right? So now you get some appreciation, and it goes halfway full. It's like, oh, that was the most delicious. What, didn't you love this chicken, dear? Yes, it was the most delicious chicken ever. Okay, you're gonna have to solicit it. Okay, and I'm going to teach you why and everything. You're going to understand. This is all going to make sense after you get all the tips and techniques. But anyway, so here's your bucket, and you're filling halfway through, right? And now, as time goes on, it's going down, it's going out the hole, it's going out the hole. Up, it's gone, right? Now you got an empty bucket. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to, okay, when it's half full, now you need to say, oh, did you realize, at that meeting with the lady, and that woman who was always mean to me at the meeting, I told her that, I was going to work closely on it with her and whatever. And it really kind of turned her around. I'm so proud of myself. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. Now your bucket is filled. Okay. Now, when it starts to leak down, you still are in a good mood and still happy, whatever's going down, down, down. Now you need to you have to realize, oh, it's going down, or maybe just do it on a regular basis. You have to know yourself, but you just have to keep the bucket filled. So excellent question. I forget the name of the lady who asked it, whatever.
It was
Rachie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Rachie. Yeah. So good question. Excellent question. Okay. What's next? Yeah.
Okay. So Tamar says, sorry, it wasn't Tamar, it was Devorah. Devorah says, my husband is so sweet and very appreciative. A lot of nice husbands on this chat.
Yeah.
Of everything I do, Baruch Hashem. So in turn, it makes me feel very guilty to ever ask him for extra help. Is it possible that one can have too much appreciation, or is it my problem that I feel guilt?
Ooh, that's a good question. So here's the problem. I'm not quite following, the appreciation is, there's two issues. One issue is having a division of labor in the home that works. And every couple has to have it can't be like every night fighting over who's doing what and why and whatever. It just has to be clear. Okay, listen, if you do bath time, I'll do the dishes. If you do, whatever, depends. If the woman's a full-time stay-at-home mom and the husband works full-time or has his own business or something like that, it's a little bit different. Then it's totally like it's on her. It's on her to run the home. If, on the other hand, he's learning and she's working full time and has all the kids, then it's a different situation. So you have to know sort of what is appropriate amount of assistance you can count on for your husband, or should, there's no real shoulds, but it definitely determines. I know there are women who work, who are full-time moms, and they've got two kids and a housekeeper, and their husband comes home, it's like, help with the dishes, why aren't you helping? I'm not, whatever. I'm not going to talk about this because it's so politically incorrect and it's different for every person. But what I am saying that you have to know, every woman watching this has to know, there has to be a plan, and it has to be clear. So there's a housekeeping chore plan that you guys discuss, not with fighting. You talk about it not in the heat of the moment, like, I finished this last night, you do them. No, it's like you sit down and say, okay, how do we want to divvy up so that it's not, everything isn't on me and I'm up till 12 midnight doing everything all night, and you're already asleep at 10:30, and you both work the same amount of hours outside the house or something like that. Has to be discussed, has to be figured out in conjunction with a rabbi often, or a rebbitzin, something, what's normal, what can you expect? And it's different generationally and so forth. But once you have that plan, it is completely, totally separate from getting appreciated. Meaning, if you're feeling guilty about, not, him doing too much or doing too little, or you're always wanting more and more and more, him doing stuff for you isn't the same as filling your appreciation bucket. Him doing it isn't going to give you that appreciation you need. So you got to keep those separate in your mind, come up with a plan for chores, and then come up with a plan, which I'm going to teach you. Come up with a plan for getting your appreciation bucket filled. And we're going to talk a lot about this. And I still, you just have to keep in the back of your mind, once you learn all these techniques, it's a game changer in your contentment. Okay. Next question, Gila. Very good, you guys.
Yeah, great questions and great answers. Okay, Mary asks, I don't feel like I need so much appreciation. I don't need him to appreciate what I do. I need him to notice when I need help. Am I missing something?
Yeah, there's two separate things. If you need more help, have a conversation about your chore plan. But that has nothing to do with appreciation. And there are some women who've told me, I don't need appreciation. What, I'm not gonna, I don't need him. Oh, good girl, you're so a lovely job. Like, what am I, a baby? The answer is yes. That if you are not owning up to your needing that appreciation, God created us that way. This is like a bulletproof thing. This is how God said we have Chazal, and I don't know. Look in Marriage Secrets. There's a source in here that says that a woman waits for a man to for the approval of her husband. I know it, and then they looked it up. I said this actually to the rabbis who were helping me with the sources. I said I heard this. I don't know who said it. So anyway, they found it for me, and it's in here in the footnote. But the point I'm making to you is that God created us to look for our husband's approval. And then we've had the last 70 years of women. I don't need him. I don't need anybody. What is it? A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Like, okay, then we're going to start buying some bicycles for the fish. I mean, it's like we need them, and it's okay to need them. And you have to let yourself be okay needing your husband. That's good. That's how God made us. And we've been turned completely upside down. And it's politically incorrect to feel like I need his approval. Like what? But guess what? Hard for us business women, us powerhouses to admit we need their approval. But once you embrace that and say, okay, I'm going to try this on, and you get his approval and his appreciation, there is a level of serenity and contentment that's available. It doesn't mean you're not going to be frazzled still, and life isn't going to be whatever. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, I get that. But there's an inner contentment that's available by recognizing that getting that appreciation fills a part of you, a hole inside us, a hole inside a woman that only that can fill. And I'm sorry, I know it's a little tough news, but the good news is once you start doing the techniques and the tools that I'm going to teach you, you're going to be like, oh, she was so right. She was so right. When I teach this I used to teach a 6-week course or whatever, everyone appreciation, whatever, they come in and I teach it to them, and then they come back. I'm telling you, if we had pictures of like all the women walking in, like just their faces as they're walking in, for the first 3 classes I was teaching them, fourth class, third class is appreciation. The fourth class, they come in, everybody's like smiling, and they've got their notebooks out and they've got their pen and they're ready to go. And they're smiling from there and then on in. They never knew, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, good. Here we go. Go ahead, Gila. What's the next one? Oh, I think this might be the last question.
Okay. So Ricky asks, my husband appreciates me, but I feel like he also takes me for granted or takes advantage of me. For example, he'll say how much he appreciates that I let him take a nap Shabbos afternoons, but he continuously takes these naps and never asks me about it beforehand. And he never offers for me to take a nap. And it annoys me so much. I'm up every night nursing our newborn.
I hear. So if you were sitting right in front of me, I would ask you, what is your, how did the conversation with your husband about that go? But I can tell you didn't talk to him about it, right? Hello. It's like, the key on an issue like this is not in the heat of the moment. Where are you going? You're going to take a nap again. No, this is like you go through life, and then like on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, far away from Shabbos in either direction, when you're upset about it, isn't like, making you feel bad. So you sit down with your husband and you say, listen, I really am grateful that you are grateful for the naps in the afternoon. Can we come up with a better plan? Maybe get a babysitter, or maybe take turns, or one Shabbos you do, one Shabbos I do. If you're up all night with a baby all week and he's working all week, the way it is that he deserves a nap on Shabbos afternoon. And it's not like you don't, be lovely or whatever, but if a woman is a stay-at-home full-time mom, then it's on her. Like the pressure and the stress, everything about running the house is on her. If you're working full time and he's also working full time and you're also up with a baby, it's a different story. And in that case, you have a conversation like I'm saying, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, you say, listen, here's the thing. We're both working equal time. I'm just exhausted. Shabbos afternoons are very hard. Actually, in the summer, Shabbos afternoons are so long. He could take a nap for 45 minutes and you could take it, you could take turns like that. So the main thing is to have a conversation with him about it without anger in your voice, without resentment, without putting it on him or making him defensive. Don't make him feel bad about how it's been. Say, I want to, we're talking about the future now. I don't hold it against you because we never talked about it before, but now that we're talking about it, can we make a plan? And you take that problem and you put it in your husband's lap and see how he reacts. And he's like, no, I deserve it. And I'm this, no, I hear, but use your Benia Sarah, your woman's intuition to figure out, your husband better than anybody, better than I do, better than anybody does. Right. So figure out what's a way that you can sweet talk him into seeing that you need help in this area. And, if you need to talk to a therapist or a Rebbitzin or a good friend, somebody who's who's going to talk him up and not make him look bad or whatever. If you can do that, if you want to do that or make a journal about, what are 10 things I could possibly say to him that would help, that would change his mind, do some introspection. Don't just blab it out and go by you. But God, everyone likes to do stuff from the, shooting from the hip, no, that very rarely works. What really works is introspection, thinking about it seriously, think about how you can accomplish it, and then making the time to actually do it without anger in your voice. Okay, we better go. Let me just give the homework. Okay, and by the way, if you like the show, put, like us and hearts and do all the things, whatever, brings more people into the show. Okay, so let me just think. The homework for this week is one time, notice when your appreciation bucket is empty. Okay? So you're just like all of a sudden this week, in this next week, I don't know if I've heard women get moody. Wait, I've heard about other people, that happens. But really, no, when you are moody one time this week, check in with yourself and say, am I feeling unappreciated? And the next week, we're going to start showing you exactly how to get the appreciation you deserve. Okay, this is Leah Richeimer. We'll see you next time.